The Brahma Kumaris use this word meditation a lot. However, if you were to come to a Brahma Kumaris center to learn meditation, you might be a little bit confused that you're not given any sort of clear, easy methodology or technique or step-by-step process that if you practice it, you will reach a certain mental state. And the reason for that is that the Brahma Kumaris are not working on the level of thought, but they're working on the level of awareness. And as is your awareness, so is your thinking, speaking, acting, and everything follows from that. This is very important to understand. So what do we mean by awareness? So I'll give you a simple daily example. So let's say that you are going to a job interview. So you enter the room, you would be aware even before arriving there to dress appropriately because you're aware of the context. You're aware of what kind of job and what kind of company it is. You'll be aware of your body language, your smile, your way of greeting the other person. You'll be aware of how they're reacting to you. You'll be aware of the environment, but you'll be aware of the broader context of the job, your qualifications for the job, which may make you feel confident if you're aware that you're well qualified, or if you're not, you might feel a little bit fraudulent. You'll also be aware of your own bank account, the necessity for this job, the bills you've got to pay, and the general job market. And you hold all of those different levels of awareness into that single moment where you're acting. Yeah, and so if the bank account's very low, the job market's scarce, and you're not confident, you may have a certain level of apprehension based on some of those awareness factors that you're aware of. Now let's compare that with a quote that I put up on my page, and a lot of people liked it some months ago. And that was, enter the room as if God has sent you there. Now, most people like that because they have a general sense of what it means. They've already thought deeply about it. If you haven't, you wouldn't even notice that particular quote at all. It wouldn't register. But if you've thought a lot about God, purpose, who am I, then just that thought, be aware of entering a room as if God has sent you. It will spark something in you. It will bring an awareness that will create a different sense of who you are, a very different feeling. And hopefully the aim of this awareness is that you will speak and act as God's representative, and you'll bring out the best of yourself. Yeah, so that's how different awarenesses bring us into different consciousness, behaviors, actions, etc. Now, what the Brahma Kumaris are aiming to do, and this is why when you come for a meditation course and you're sitting there waiting for the step-by-step, easy 1, 2, 3, you're given 7 days worth of knowledge, 7 days course. And it may be even a lot more than 7 days, depending on which center you go to. But all this knowledge, the aim of it is to broaden your awareness so that you have a spiritual perspective on yourself, on your role, on time itself, on what is this world. You know, there's so many aspects to the awareness. And this is why for, students of the Brahma Kumaris, they study every single day. And because it's not just enough to hear something and then be aware of it, just like the example of that quote, go as if God sent you. How deeply that impacts your awareness will be how much you've thought about those things before. And so for each of us on the spiritual journey, every single year, our expansion of what those things mean deepens and deepens, and we listen to other people's different perspectives on it. And it's vast. Like in a job interview, someone might just be aware of very few factors and not have much of an influence. Whereas someone else will be very aware of body language and the interaction and emotional intelligence, or they may have studied about the company and they'll answer more effectively. And so in any, like, just a physical situation, the more aware you are of the different factors, the more effectively you can operate in that context. So in this spiritual journey, whereas particularly this knowledge, we're aware of who am I? And that's a vast awareness. So you're aware of the spiritual reality of the soul being eternal and the original qualities of the soul, and how the soul acts through this particular body and this particular role, which has its own karma. So karma makes you aware of how the past has brought you to this point and how your actions now lead to your future. And then there's the whole awareness of what actually is this earthly plane, and that it's a stage. And so if you're aware that it's a stage, you're aware that nothing is permanent here, and you enjoy your part without holding on. And this is just a few like tasters of points from the BK knowledge. So if I'm aware of a spiritual truth, and I know that the word truth is really controversial because everybody claims to have the truth, but for me it's more about trusting your own experience. And if you're having thoughts that come from an awareness that's not based on truth, the result of that is that you will feel some sort of apprehension, some sort of fear or nervousness or insecurity, and that will lead to a lot of ineffective actions. And this is, a whole study and a whole topic on itself. But if you're aware of deeper spiritual truths, and for me, an example of that is that this world, I'm passing through it. Everything in this world is changing. I come and play the part through this body. Now, I can experiment with these thoughts and the effect that they have on my consciousness, and how it really changes my whole experience, my whole attitude, my whole way of living in a way that feels a lot more light and enjoyable. And there's so much positive effects of being aware of these factors. So for me, that's kind of all I need to know, is that truth sets me free. And if I'm aware of higher aspects of spiritual truth, the result will be really evident in how I think and feel and act and so on. So I keep it really simple like that. Everybody's got books of truth, but essentially is what I'm aware of, how is it affecting me? So for me, all these aspects of Brahma Kumaris knowledge, when I'm aware of them, I feel profound effect. And I think anybody who studied with the Brahma Kumaris know the power of this knowledge. Now, it's kind of interesting because we're not always aware of this knowledge. And that's why you can't point at a BK and say, oh, this knowledge is not working because look at their behavior. Because all of our awarenesses fluctuate. This is every aspect of Brahma Kumaris' lifestyle and company and daily study and daily sitting in meditation and thinking about these concepts deeply. They all have a big impact to keep your awareness alive. And when it's alive, it tends to show in your behavior. But we don't all necessarily do all the things that we need to keep these awarenesses fresh and alive and in our consciousness, so that we act from them. And that's where you get the very, very different even thinking and behavior and words from students of Brahma Kumaris, because it depends at any moment how aware they are. Yeah, and so it's a lifetime study with a whole bunch of factors that are all aimed to keep this spiritual awareness alive. And so you can't just say, oh, I'm going to study the knowledge, but I'm not going to sit for meditation. or I'm going to behave or eat what I want. It's not, I have this knowledge, so I don't need to follow the lifestyle. Of course, you don't need to do anything, but every factor of the Brahma Kumaris' whole lifestyle is, each of them is aimed to help keep this awareness fresh, because the world's awareness or perceptions or consciousness can easily impinge on us. We can be in that I'm afraid in the interview scenario, or I can be in the God has sent me scenario. But if the whole world is in the fearful scenario in their heads, it's so much easier to be influenced to that awareness. And that's why it's a lifetime spiritual journey with a whole other bunch of people on the same journey to help kind of waken ourselves up when we're falling asleep. So if you do go to a meditation center, Brahma Kumaris meditation center, I think the closest thing that we get to meditation when you begin is the meditation commentary, which can be very beautiful. But in a sense, it's a stream of thoughts that are coming from the awareness of the spiritual truths that the Brahma Kumaris are sharing. So a commentary will often remind you that, I'm not this body, I'm a spiritual being within the body, and I come from a dimension of light, which is my spiritual home, which is a place of peace. And those thoughts can really bring a profound sense of peace. But even the aim of the commentaries is to, again, deepen the awareness of these aspects, so that even when the meditation commentary is finished, you stay in that awareness. So I've sort of gone a little bit here and there and everywhere, but I hope that's kind of clarified why Brahma Kumaris meditation is not just a simple technique to understand, but it's a whole lifestyle based on a deep knowledge, and that every single factor of it does have an impact in our awareness. And so it can take a little bit of time to understand exactly what these people in white are doing. But I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea of what is going on in the Brahma Kumaris centers around the world. Thank you for listening. Om Shanti.